Thank you very much, Manju. You really showed your expertise in this domain. And I think our participants are really impressed with that new knowledge, and it's really a challenging period, especially during a pandemic like this in the world, where the mobility is limited, the banking is limited. Mostly we are confined to online banking, and with the introduction of this type of technology, I think it will be a breakthrough. But as you correctly said, the penetration is slow, mainly in a country like Sri Lanka, where even IT literacy is little more than, I think, at the moment 30-35%. So people are slowly getting into know about computing and internet and stuff like that. So this is beyond that level. So as you said, people still believe in banking and physical banking, mostly the generation of probably uh, 40s, 50s, 60s, like they want to still touch coins and notes, and they still believe government regulations and also central bank ruling and the safety. There were a number of cases in Sri Lanka where investors have cheated people, and still there are court cases. So people have no trust on these, things which they cannot see mostly. Therefore, it will take time. But I know, you are coming from the North America, and in the North American context and Western world, these things can, spread faster than our context, this part of the world. So still there are a fair number of participants, and the first question is, I also raised this at my overview, how secured cryptocurrencies are. Is it more susceptible than the standard currencies? That's the question I raised at the beginning. So I think you have almost covered it. You want to elaborate it?
Sure. It's a very broad question because, as I said, there are more than 5,500 different types of currencies, right? So I cannot say it is very difficult to make like a general statement, because then obviously there are certain cryptocurrencies that has like a very highly secured, highly protected blockchain itself as underlying technology. But there can be certain cryptocurrencies which are not necessarily that much secured, right? When I say secured, I don't think it's a weakness of the technology itself, because blockchain itself has proven to be one of the most secured technology so far, right? Because especially if it's a public blockchain, if someone even try to hack it, then obviously people can hack it, but then obviously it will get notified, and then obviously that particular transaction will get rejected from the node, right? So that's the beauty of it, right? So because of that, yeah, it is secured. But if it's a private blockchain, then obviously it could be anything, right? You cannot if it's a private blockchain, then obviously people can plan certain things in advance and then act accordingly, right? So in that scenario, it cannot necessarily be secured. But this question comes from actually mostly not necessarily with the technology itself, but when you keep your cryptocurrencies within yourself, right? Even if through exchanges or in your wallets, right? Whether it is secure, right? Again, that also depends on how secured your storages are, right? So that's nothing to do with the blockchain technology itself, right? If your exchange storage does not have the proper security, then obviously people can hack and steal your assets, right? Same thing with your online wallet, right? It is very much same to anything else as well, right? If you have online banking account, right? If your password and the username got hacked, then obviously it's going to be unsecured. I don't think this is a common problem for a blockchain for sake of it is a common problem for any financial security or asset, right? So yeah, as a technology itself, I don't think it is unsecured as long as it is a public blockchain.
Yeah, you raised a good point where public and private blockchains. You just mentioned about private blockchain where which cannot be secure as like a popular large scale blockchain. So it's like a government bank and a private bank, maybe, right? Or a private investment party.
It's on more than that actually, because if it's a bank, then obviously you may have to use a, I mean, if it's a currency, then obviously most probably it is going to be a public blockchain, right? But there are certain scenarios, as an example, right? There are sometimes, companies wanted to sell particular product or services, right? So for those ones, I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be in a public blockchain, right? Because they wanted to control the access as well, right, for their particular product or service. So in that scenario, it's always better to have a private blockchain, like a hyperledger in IBM, right? So you can use that hyperledger to build certain product and services in your supply chain, right? So you wanted to build a supply chain on a blockchain, right? Only to your supply chain, your company supply chain, right? And then the access to that particular supply chain has to be within your organization and your supply chain partners, right? So in that scenario, it's better to build that one on a private blockchain rather than a public blockchain, because then obviously you can control the access. Because if it's a public blockchain, there's no control of the access, right? So that is the differentiate between the public and private, I think, mostly when it comes to your business model.
The two networks which I mentioned, the P network, PI network, and the Q, cryptocurrency, they are more or less, I felt, like pyramid type things where you need to introduce more and more friends, then you get more accumulation. So they cannot be considered as cryptocurrencies, I guess, right?
No. Pure pyramid schemes. Stay away.
Yeah. So I opened the forum for the remaining members. Especially, I can see still our Dr. Chandana Gamage from Moratuwa. If you have any questions, please raise now. So you can switch on your video and mic and raise your question, please.
Yeah, so I just like to know. So recently, Tesla said, or rather, Elon Musk said that you can pay in Bitcoin. And any idea why, while other big companies are not doing it, why Tesla is so confident about Bitcoin?
Yeah. Any ideas? No, it's a very good question. It purely comes from a personality perception, honestly, because Elon Musk is honestly, he's a genius, right? I mean, I'll give you like one very good example, right? So when Tesla was created, right, everyone was telling him to go public, right, and raise the capital through equity capital market, right? He said, there's absolutely no way that I would go public because I don't want to get too many stupid questions from all these bank analysts and all these people. I rather manage my company because I have a dream and a lot of these people cannot understand my dream, which is true actually, right? I mean, he has a bigger vision and things that the other people cannot understand, right? So because of that, his company, starting from 2013 to 17, they are like highly levered, right? Even though they are like highly levered, all the financial expertise, like including like Professor Damodar, right? They were saying, oh my gosh, what you're doing, right? Your company could collapse anytime, right? Because you're like 70, 80% levered, right? But even though he was like super confident. He was like, no, absolutely, that's totally okay because I know what I'm doing. So because of what I'm doing, I'm more than happy to keep it as it is, right? Sorry, not Tesla. I mean SpaceX. So yeah, not Tesla. And similar to SpaceX, actually, even Tesla was highly levered as well. But even though it's a highly levered, people who actually believe in Elon, right? As you can remember, the stock prices were like extremely overvalued, right? It was like $300, $400. But if you do the proper valuation, the valuation of the stock has to be around like $200 and $220. But I mean, I can remember I did my valuation probably like two and a half years ago. By then, the valuation was around $205, but the actual price was around $350. That's because people purely believe in that particular person, right? So same thing for the crypto, because he believes in digital currencies. He believes in cryptocurrencies. He does not believe in centralized economies anymore. He believes the entire world's economy is moving from centralized economies to decentralized economies to mobile economies. So in order for that to happen, he thinks he has to initiate a step, right? And he took so many gambles so far by introducing electric cars and then getting autonomous vehicles, etc., etc. So everything paid off well so far. So I think because of that, he took this one as a gamble as well. I think this is more like a instinct sort of a decision, not necessarily like a financial strategic decision. So that's my perception. Like that's my understanding.
Right. Thank you. Right. Thank you. Right.
I think you mentioned that Tesla bought 1.5 billion or something dollars, right? Recently,
Right.
Bitcoins.
Right.
And now when Tesla's value is, calculated, measured, this cryptocurrency is also part of it, or I mean, whether
for the valuation?
Yeah.
No. It is going to be in there. It is going to be in their balance sheet, right? As an asset, right? So it will be in their balance sheet. But when you do the valuation, then obviously the valuation actually derives from the cash flow, right?
Yeah, that's
that
right.
Bitcoin, that reserves, it doesn't have to do anything with your cash flow.
Right? Okay. So now, recently he ought to Bill Gates and I mean, he's number one at the moment, I guess, right? Elon Musk?
Between him and Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk. I mean,
yeah. So it is not with Bitcoin value, right?
No.
Okay. Right. Any other questions, guys? We have Dr. Anuradha. Any question?
Yes, normally the people who are normally earning money nowadays in Sri Lanka, even nice as minor. I don't know whether is that now. Currently in Sri Lanka, do we have a legal framework for these Bitcoins?
No, not only Sri Lanka. There are most countries actually, they don't even have any sort of regulations regarding these cryptocurrencies. They are not ready for it at all. Even in like USA, I mean, USA is like, they are pro cryptocurrencies, but they don't have adequate regulations at this point. So I don't think any country in the world actually has proper regulations for the cryptocurrencies.
Yeah, I know that most of the people in Sri Lanka, even using a lot of GPUs, they are earning cryptocurrencies, and they are creating wallets and try to transfer that one to their bank accounts at the moment in Sri Lanka even. Then is there any way for normally as a Sri Lankan government, even they can think about to earn more money using this cryptocurrency? Is that so?
There are absolutely ways of, as you may remember, right? Even like when Venezuelan government's experience is like hyperinflation all the time, right? They were trying to introduce a stable coin, which is pegged to oil, which was like a wise decision, but then obviously they won't be able to execute it because the whole country got sanctioned by the US, right? So even though you have your own digital currency, no one would take it, right? So that was a problem. So yes, cryptocurrency, as I said, even for the government, that could be a solution for most of the bad or stupid decisions that they make through their monetary policies, right? But then again, the question is whether they have the right expertise, right? So I don't think, honestly, I don't think in the Sri Lankan context, I don't think no one has that kind of expertise, how to deal with digital currencies or how to introduce certain cryptocurrencies that are not necessarily pegged into in Sri Lankan context, Sri Lankan rupees, right? You can do it, but then obviously it has to be carefully structured, right? So you need to have the right expertise into that particular matter.
I think currently, Stanford University also, they have a research project. I think they are introducing a cryptocurrency called 5, I think at the moment. Within another 10 to, another couple of weeks, they try to release that one to the society, but still they try to work that one with only the Canada and USA. Right. Actually, I also try to, already registered with that one, but they says it need Canadian mobile phone number to validate it.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, that's what Dr. Anuradha, you were not there at the outset. I said I was also invited by a friend of mine for this Q&A. The Stanford PhDs, they have worked on this. And now, whether one can, convert black money into cryptocurrency and, escape from, malpractices.
No, this is one of the common questions that we always get, because people think that, obviously cryptocurrencies help the criminal activities a lot, and there could be a lot of money laundering that could happen, right? So my simple argument is, between US and the Mexican border, right? Tens of billions of dollars are laundered like every year, right? These are like, not just like $1 or $2 billion, right? These are like drug money, right? These are like proper green dollar bills, like $1 billion, tens of billions, right? So that happens, right? So it is nothing to do with the fiat or the digital currency, right? The the criminals, they always find a way to, just like utilize whatever the financial instrument they have, and using those ones, obviously they try to, like whiten their money, right? Launder their money, right? It happens. Yes, in the dark web with the internet, yes, obviously, you can use these cryptocurrencies to you can use these ones for criminal activities. But my argument is actually cryptocurrencies is actually it can help a lot for the governments to trace back and find out where the money is located now. Because if it's a US dollars, right, people can just like put these one into a box or bag and then just like dig a hole and then put it under the ground, and then no one can find it, right? But in the US government, right, I mean, they actually did it a couple of times. If they manage to get hold of a certain criminal activist, right, then obviously they can trace all these transactions through in the blockchain, and they can find the actual wallet address, and they can locate that particular wallet, and they can seize those properties, those bitcoins. It happens a couple of times actually. I can't remember the names of those people, but they actually managed to get hold of 2 or 3 criminals in the US or in the US and few other countries, and they managed to get hold of those assets. They actually froze those assets, and then obviously they managed to get hold of those assets, right? So in that sense, cryptocurrency is actually more beneficial for the governments to get hold of these criminal activities because they can trace it, right? Because everything is in the blockchain, right? You may not necessarily find the name and the address of the person, but at least you know where this particular assets are held on, right? This particular wallet, right? As long as it's not in a hard wallet, right? If someone download that one into your pen drive and you keep it at somewhere, then obviously US government cannot do anything as well. But if it is on an exchange or like in any other software wallets, then obviously US government can get hold of it, right? So for my argument is yes, criminals can use it, but then obviously it is happening anyway nowadays, right? Throughout, I mean, using the fiat currencies as well, right? So it's just like another method of doing their money.
So whether bitcoins are traded in the darknet, deep net?
It happens all absolutely.
It happens, no?
Yeah.
So you said now about 50% of the Bitcoin market, cryptocurrency market is Bitcoin. So
right.
part of which is in the darknet, right?
No. This is these figures actually not in the darknet. These are in the
real internet.
Yeah. In the real economy, not in the dark economy.
Okay.
So it could be like more than that actually because of that.
Okay, right. Any other questions? Jayathu, Anurag, Dayan, I can see Randika, Gayan, Chandimal.
I have another question, Manju.
Yes, yes, doctor. Yeah.
Yeah. So now the Bitcoin supply is finite, no? It's only 21 million,
21 million.
right? Yeah. So now 18 plus million has been mined.
Yeah.
So what will happen to all these Bitcoin mining operators once the 21 million is up?
Right.
I mean, some people have been setting up things in Alaska and in like
what
that.
happens is what will happen is that debate is going on for the past couple of years. The first thing you need to remember is I think it's going to be to 2045 when all the 21 millions of bitcoins are mined, right? So we have some sort of a time span, right? Another 20 years on, right? 20 odd years. But then when that happens, right, what they're saying is then obviously we have to compensate miners with the transactions, just like transaction cost. Whenever people do transactions, obviously it has to be recorded and it has to be verified to the blockchain itself, right? So then again, the same thing, people who actually verify these things in the first, they will get like a small fraction of that particular transaction. So they will compensate it by that, not necessarily mining. So the mining is gone. So you won't be able to earn bitcoins through the mining, but then you will get compensated through the fiat currencies as a transaction services.
Like maintenance fee.
Like a maintenance fee, exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Just like a Visa, MasterCard, right? They charge like 3.5, 4.5 transaction cost. So that's what's going to happen.
Right. Okay, right.
And Manju, say you are investing, say, $10 million.
Right.
Whether it is worth investing it on standard way like banking system or on crypto?
It really
Is there a
depends.
difference?
It absolutely depends on your risk appetite and your investment portfolio, right? So, I mean, we as an investment professional, I never advise anyone to put all eggs into one basket because that's a very risky game. So it's always better to have a very diversified portfolio. So if you are thinking of doing any investments, make sure in order for you to get like a very healthy returns, you always have to think of, mixing and matching, putting some bond, like a treasury bonds, right? And then like the debt capital market products and some stocks as well. And then some real estate and then some cryptocurrencies as well, right? So by doing so, when the market collapse, right, then you always have something that is go against the market as well. So if you lose something, you can gain something as well. So then your net loss is not that big, right? But then obviously, if you are not an individual person, but if you're like a financial institution, as an example, if you're like hedge funds, and if you have like a one particular strategy, right, like arbitrage, merger arbitrage strategy, or like or like special event driven strategies, right? Then obviously your appetite could be very different, right? So in that scenario, you might get exposed to different price points in different asset classes, right? So in that scenario, you might consider, putting entire 10 million or whatever into the prices. But as a citizen, as a person, I would not like advise anyone to put all eggs into one basket because that can be very risky, especially in cryptocurrencies. You should absolutely not do that because, as I said again, there is no value behind it. There's no intrinsic value. It should be a currency. So if it is a currency, then obviously we shouldn't be even talking like, okay, we should be even looking at the prices like, oh, today is 50,000, tomorrow is, because people are looking at it as an investment vehicle, as I said, right? But it is not an investment vehicle because there's no such intrinsic value. So because of that, you should not put all your eggs into one basket. So make sure you diversify your things, and always pick something that goes against the market as well. Things like gold, because if something happens, if you have a lot of stocks in your portfolio, the stock market collapse, then obviously whatever the money that you lose, you can get it from the gold market, right? Because typically when the prices of the stocks comes down, the gold prices goes up, right? So that's why you hedge your risk, right? Make sure you always hedge your risk because that preserves your wealth and your investment.
This was raised by Dr. Anuradha previously about legal framework. Now, if something goes wrong, I also raised this at my outset. There's no way of recovering, right? And there's no way of
recovering what exactly?
I mean, the lost currencies.
You mean cryptocurrency?
Yeah. I mean, there's no way of complaining, or no one can help you, right?
I'm trying to give the answer through your question. Okay, so
yeah.
help me out here. So when you lose, so you're asking me, if you lose your cryptocurrency, there's no way that you can get a legal help or get recovered, right? So that's your question, right? So how can you lose your cryptocurrency? So just give me an example.
No, what I mean is, say, suddenly I have some cryptocurrencies, but the following day that company is bankrupt or something, and there's no such company.
Exactly. Okay, so let me give you an example, right? So let's go back to 2009, right? When the Bear Stearns and Bear Stearns company, and then there was a couple of banks in the US as well. I cannot remember the. Oh my gosh, I can't remember the names. So at least, like 10 plus banks in the US, and then another like hundreds of banks, not hundreds actually, somewhere around like 20, 30 banks in the Europe, right? They filed bankruptcy, right? So if you look at the entire Greece, right? So the Greece has suffered a lot as a European country, and the majority of their banks had to file bankruptcy, right? So people, whoever put their money into those banks, right? I mean, they didn't get recovered, right? They got like peanuts, right? I mean, if you had like $100 in a bank, you may have got like, like $2, right? Or maybe like $3, right? I can remember there was like a time during maybe like for two or 3 years. During that time, Greek people, they only could withdraw less than $10, not even $10. I think $5 or something per day, right? Even though they have a lot of cash in the bank, right? I mean, those bank numbers are just digital numbers, not actual assets anymore, right? So it is nothing to do with cryptocurrency. I mean, it is the same for cryptocurrencies, right? I mean, it is not specialized for cryptocurrency. It can happen in other financial institutions as well. Like in Sri Lanka, right? Like recently, that 𝐒𝐻𝐻
ETF, yeah.
right? Same thing happened, right? They collected all the money and the money is gone, right?
No, but you see now that investment company is registered under the central bank. So
right.
people could, claim that money through central bank, and now there is a court case. And
right.
now those directors are under arrest. That's why I'm asking now, there's no such system in this cryptocurrency market, right?
There are no regulations because it is not governed by any central regulatory body, right?
Yeah.
But then the thing is, this is exactly why even I said before as well, right? Once you have certain cryptocurrencies, right, you have to make sure you keep it in a way that no one could actually take it from you, right? Don't try to keep it in exchange, right? If it's a software wallet, make sure that is a very reputed one that has not been hacked before, and at least that has been, I mean, that particular the soft wallet has some sort of a asset-backed collateral or reserves, right? You can ask these questions and you can do the research as well. If not, try to always keep these ones in a hard wallets, right? Because hard wallets, obviously, it can be safe. But honestly, again, like if you go back to the same point with the EAP trust or whatever, right? Honestly, I don't think even though you go for court cases, etc., for my personal perception, I don't think the government is going to give 100%, right? I mean, the recovery is going to be very low. I mean, Sri Lanka, it could be better because it's a social democratic country. But if you go to Europe or in like USA or such countries, right, your recovery rate could be very minimal. I mean, the people who was in Greece and who lost all the savings and everything, that, I mean, Zimbabwe, take the Zimbabwe and then take Venezuela, right? The money that they lost, the value that they lost in their wealth it's gone. No one can, I mean, the government cannot repay that money because they don't have the money, right?
No, that is a different case, I think, because those countries as a country got bankrupt. But in our case, countries, I mean, somewhat doing well, but only these Sakpiti Rana Singh and this 𝐒𝐻𝐻 investment, those companies had problems. So still people could, fight and claim, and although that's
there. You don't have that protection in the cryptocurrencies because there are no such regulations. Because people cannot file any case against anyone.
So you being an expert and being in this domain for a while, you think there will be some legal framework coming in?
Yeah, I mean, even like myself, I mean, on behalf of the New York Blockchain Association and some other association, I mean, I testified in front of the US Congress a couple of times. So we always have like a very healthy dialogue between the US government and some other organizations who can influence certain governments in the world as well, right? So it is what their argument is. It is too early for them to allocate a lot of resources to put this kind of framework together right now, because as I said, the market is not that big enough, right? Because they have other bigger things that need to be worried, right? But when the market becomes bigger, then obviously they put like a lot of resources and things into play, and then obviously they will come up with a certain regulation. But as of even today, right, I mean, we have a certain like fair amount of regulations even in the US market as well, right? I mean, at least they don't do ICOs anymore, and you have a clear guidance of whether your token is going to be a security token or like a utility token, right? So that is there as well. And then if it's a security, I mean, 90% of these tokens are security tokens now, so they have to go through the SEC filing process, right? So investors' interests are very much protected even within the cryptocurrencies, because what they did was they actually managed to bring the cryptocurrencies into the traditional financial regulation systems, right? So because of that, they actually managed to do that. So what China and India did was they actually banned the cryptocurrencies for a couple of years, and now they are lifting bit by bit. And very recently, even I remember China announced that they actually, I cannot remember, but there's like a very positive note came out from their head of the Central Bank of the China, saying like they will allow certain trading activities in the cryptocurrencies. So India, I'm not too sure because they have not given any clear evidences so far. But yeah, I think within next 5 years, there may be some rock solid guidelines, especially starting with the US and some Scandinavian countries, and then the European countries to follow. So that's our expectation.
My last question, now you are an advisor to the government. You are advising our Honorable Minister, Dr. Nalaka Godeheva, right? Who is also Morato product. And will you be taking some initiative to, legalize cryptocurrencies, in your capacity. Of course, it is some other domain, but what you call megapolis kind of thing, right? But with your expertise,
we are trying. Let me say this. I mean, I think, I don't know whether 𝐶𝐚𝐯 is in this call now. Yeah, he knows this one as well. We actually once even put a proposal to a central bank as well, but then that went nowhere as far as I know. So I mean, that has to come from the leaderships as well, because I mean, people has to understand the new markets and new markets and new trends, right? Without understanding those, I mean, you cannot reject something just because you don't understand it. You know what I'm saying? That's an unfortunate thing, right? I mean, if you do not understand it, then obviously you have to learn, right? If you don't learn, even if you learn and if you still cannot understand, get the expertise advice, right? That's what you're supposed to do. But unfortunately, in Sri Lankan context, what happens is, like, if you don't understand something, you always straight away you go ahead and understand it. Okay, no. That's what happened in Sri Lanka right now as well.
Yeah.
But then I tried once, but then I realized it was not the right time. But yes, at some point, definitely we have to start. Because I mean, right now we are so far behind, so we are so far behind, and it's so unfair for the people who actually try to embrace these new technologies with a good faith, because it can add a lot of value and a lot of like positive inputs into our GDP as well, But unfortunately, given that because you don't understand, you just ban it, then that means, you are becoming another North Korea. I'm not saying it is that. It is going to that extent, but if that is what we're trying. I mean, if we're trying to shut down the whole thing, then obviously what happens is the rest of the world embrace it, and we will become another North Korea with no internet. So it's always better to keep up the momentum, with the markets and with the new trends, etc., etc. But we're trying. That's my.
Yeah. If there's any other question, last minute. If not, let me finally thank our expert speaker, Engineer Manju Nishshanka. This is a very informative and new domain, new knowledge. You did a wonderful job, and I can't thank you physically. I can even give you a token of appreciation, but on behalf of IET Sri Lanka Network, I thank you for accepting my invitation and giving a wonderful presentation. And I thank all the participants who have survived up to now, and all the participants who were at the beginning, especially Dr. Chandana Kamage and our committee members, Dr. Anuradha, Dayan, Jayathu, and our guests, Randika and Chandimal. And it was a very informative presentation, and we were here from 6:30, so it's more than 2 hours now. Thank you very much. And we'll see you sometimes again at some initiative, right? We are still hopeful that you will try to do that.
The conference, yes.
Conference. We are still willing to partner with you.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we were thinking of 3rd or 4th quarter, but again, like, let's see what's going to be this 3rd wave or the 4th wave, right? So it really depends on how the whole new COVID thing behave in the society. So maybe that, we can push it to next year as well. But
And please remind your minister that he was supposed to be our guest of honor with President Ecurrency, the president, to be the chief guest in our international conference. It was supposed to be on 17 November last year. Right. We had to postpone it due to the 2nd wave. And now I have requested for a date from the Ecurrency. And again, when I get the date from the Ecurrency, I will again come and meet him for that date for the international conference. Please remind him.
Absolutely. I mean, if you need any help, I'm more than happy to facilitate as well.
Yeah. So thank you very much, everyone. We'll wind up for time. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Good night. Have a good night.